What's up, Nerf herders? Welcome to the N.A.P with a appropriately
What?
leveled and not echoey intro.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome.
except then
Except
I
we are
clicked on the
not
wrong
talking
overlay.
we are not
My
talking
bad.
about Falcon and Winter Soldier today.
I needed to just delete that overlay. Yeah,
Whoopsie.
I'm gonna
What's
remove
up,
that.
Nerf herders? How you guys doing? Josh, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm tired. That weekend flew by way
I'm
too fast.
right there with you. I'm exhausted.
I got shit to do tonight after I talked to you, but I mean, we have some things to talk about.
Yeah,
With
my hair
as
going
you
everywhere. Jesus Christ.
credited it as Merger Monday, so we're going to talk about that. And then
Yeah,
I saw 3 of the 4 movies that were released this weekend, so I figured we'd talk about that and some other stuff.
I don't think we were prepared for quite the amount of business news that was going to
No.
drop today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally I don't care about business news, but I mean, when it's stuff that's this big and in an era where I don't know, these we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
It's going to be easier for me to like instead of just I can't give like a brief synopsis, you know. Let's jump
Right.
into our other topics real quick.
Yeah, because we got some
let's knock
lightning
this
round
out.
stuff up first.
Just some little shit.
Let's talk about that first.
Go,
So,
go.
first one was Jungle Cruise. This has been, I don't know if this was ever officially delayed. I think they've just been waiting to release it. I mean, if they did ever officially say when this was supposed to come out, I don't remember it. But it is scheduled to release now on July 30th. And it was officially just announced that it is going to be releasing on July 30th in theaters as well as on Disney Plus with the Premiere Access, which is that $29.99 fee. And it's not the first movie to do that on Disney Plus, but some people are now saying, well, we're starting to get back to the 45-day window. It used to be 90 days, but now it's a 45-day. Movies are starting to be announced in theaters only, will eventually hit streaming. And we got a few of those coming well before July 30th. So some people are saying, does that mean Disney doesn't have much faith in Jungle Cruise if they're doing both? And I could see that argument. I could also see the argument that, you know, it would hurt them even more if they dropped it on both. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, it's tough because to my recollection, they didn't release any numbers on how Mulan did.
Of course
doing
not.
the same method. Or how what was the other?
There was a lot of speculation, but I don't think they ever
Soul?
released.
Soul was
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
There were a few. Raya and the Last Dragon was another one. There's been a few, but we haven't seen the information that they've gotten off of those. Now things are starting to open back up. Like I've seen 3 separate local theater areas. Not well, 2 of them are local to here. Another one's local to my hometown, who all announced that they are opening up, if not fully, opening up their capacity a little bit more. And so we're starting to get to like a time frame to where that people might be a little bit more comfortable going back to the theater. And if they are, they're probably itching to go back to the theater, so they might just bypass it completely. So, the people who would have gone to see, well, first of all, I don't know shit about this movie other than what I found out because it looked really familiar to this old ass movie that I remember watching growing up in my house. My parents were really into old movies, and it's actually based off. It looked an awful lot like it was based off of The African Queen, which is an old Katharine Hepburn movie with Humphrey Bogart. And I remember watching this movie and being bored out of my mind. But like some of the scenes are just burned into my brain. I was probably 10 or 11, maybe even 12 years old at the time. We were still living in Colorado. And this movie was just on, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me right now. Can we just, like, I couldn't escape from the room. We had company over. And so that's what it made me think of as soon as I saw it. And yeah, sure enough, when I looked it up, that's what it seemed to be based around.
Well, it's also based inspired by the ride, or at least
Right.
there's a theme park ride,
which is where the ride came from.
Came from the thing, right? So it's
Which I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean was based off of a Disney ride. Did
right,
pretty damn good.
right.
Did pretty damn good. So I mean,
First,
who knows? I mean, man, dude, I've watched The Rock in some of his movies as like a guilty pleasure thing since like The Rundown or Walking Tall. Okay. No, The Rundown was better. The Rundown was better than Walking Tall, but
I agree. But Walking Tall is a good movie. I did enjoy that.
It's still good.
I'd watch Rundown first. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As far as whether or not like it's worthy of having its own like as far as like a movie like this is worthy of its own big theatrical release or anything like that, a big theater push. At this day and age, I think it probably makes sense for them to do both, just because one, we don't know how many people are confident enough to go back to movie theaters right off of the bat, and two, they don't know how confident they would be going back just to see Jungle Cruise. So it's like, you know what, let's just kind of, because I mean, either way, they're going to make money.
Well, in the 2 months before this releases, though, other studios, like for example, Paramount's about to drop. It's about to drop. Whatchamacallit? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name? A Quiet Place 2 is about to drop in theaters only, and not even other studios, but Cruella, I believe, is dropping only in theaters. I don't think Cruella is going to be on Disney Plus, and I could be wrong about that, but I'm looking it up right now. So I think that was added to it was, well, if they're not going to do that for Cruella,
it will be on Disney Plus. Cruella
same
will be on
day
Disney
and date.
Plus.
Are you sure?
I don't know about same day and date. I just found the link saying that it is coming, and it's coming this month, actually, in May. Are we sure?
Well, then that would be day and date. Yeah, I didn't know that. I haven't heard of that yet. So, well, I mean, if that's the case, then that's in line with Cruella, and it's in line with Black Widow before then, because Black Widow is going to be a day and date as well. So, I guess that's just their model for the summer, and maybe they'll switch things up in September with Shang-Chi and whatnot.
A good old Polygon for giving me the list of stuff that's going to be available on streaming services, because I don't know how I would have gone on if I hadn't looked this up and found out that Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer is on Disney Plus now.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know how.
I'm gonna have to leave.
That knowledge.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave right now. Anyway,
X-Men
we'll see if it's any good.
On there now too.
I think.
Come on.
Yeah. I think
that was a better movie. Don't get me wrong. That was definitely a better movie, but I don't know. Like, this is kind of the world that we're in now, you know, like this is the transition to a new normal. I feel like
seems like Disney is just waiting to do it before everybody else, but yeah.
But this might also be kind of part of their like future business strategy for movies where they're not entirely sure how well it's going to do in theaters. And if there was a crowd who wanted to see new movies, but was like, I know this exact crowd because I used to be a part of it. I used to wait like 1 to 2 weeks to go in and see a new Marvel film, like around in the early days. I'm talking like we're talking before like Captain America Civil War era. I think around that time is when I started going in much earlier, but I would wait just to avoid big crowds. And that was,
I know a lot of people like that.
And there might be some films to where, like, you know what? I don't know if I need a theatrical experience for Jungle Cruise, but I would still like to see it pretty early, maybe just to review it for the show.
Sure.
And it's like, you know what? If it would be way more convenient for me to just pop on to the exclusive or to whatever premiere access and watch it that way, I can totally see a big crowd jumping into that, and maybe not necessarily fixing any missed numbers that they might have gotten from the theater, if not just kind of softening the blow from the amount of people who don't.
Sure. Well, I mean, if 5 friends want to watch Jungle Cruise, it's going to be cheaper to pay $30 and then go to the theater. So that is that. What else do we got? We got John Boyega is coming back for Attack the Block 2. Which is interesting. They just dropped that. I guess the director's coming back, and John Boyega is coming back. Joe Cornish is the director.
Were these glowy baboon bitches part of the first Attack the Block?
Yeah, that's those were the aliens
Right.
in the Attack the Block.
I guess
it was a really cool visual in the film.
I guess I didn't understand what Attack the Block was.
Yeah, it was a film about these aliens coming down on London and killing people. And they just Boyega and his gang of kids just go after him. So it's been a while since I've seen it, but I liked it. It was a nice indie film. They did well with the limited budget that they had, and it put Boyega on the map. And then after that, he went on to do other movies and eventually got into Star Wars. So I think a lot of people have been wondering, especially with him and Daisy Ridley, what's next, yeah, I
mean, Poe Dameron, I would not.
He's in everything.
Mr. Oscar Isaac. I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have given a shit about seeing X-Men Apocalypse if it hadn't been for him showing up in Star Wars. I still think that the actors did good with the subject material that they had. So, and it's good that these three core actors, I guess I want to call them core actors. They're like the Luke, Leia, and Han of the sequels. I don't want anybody to think that I'm making that comparison or anything like that.
You gotta walk that back real quick.
Just take it easy. Just chill. You know what I mean? They fit the archetype for the way that those movies were structured without necessarily living up to exactly what those expectations might have been. But I mean, Harrison was really the only one who actually stuck out from that original core three for the original trilogy. And now we're seeing, I mean, Daisy's been at a few things that have done pretty well, and then that recent movie with Tom Holland that didn't do too great.
I'm sure that's the only movie she's been in that's come out since Rise of Skywalker.
She did
and that's been delayed for forever.
She did that Oriental Train movie. Something.
The Orient Express?
Yeah,
Murder on the Orient Express. Well, that wasn't post Star Wars.
That wasn't post Star Wars?
No, that was during Star Wars.
Okay, I thought that was.
I think that was between her last two Star Wars films, and I didn't see that.
Either way, we've got Oscar Isaac, who's going to be jumping into the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, and he's going to be fucking.
He's in everything. He's in everything,
which is going to be big, and then which is going to be weird because he was also Apocalypse, so he snuck in there right before that Fox Disney shit was going to start blurring those lines. So
just like Chris Evans, like Killmonger. But there's a lot of second chances in there.
John Boyega has been the most honest out of that cast about how he felt about his treatment for his character.
Ooh,
you know what?
Yeah,
that gave me mad respect for him. So, and he's also a fucking badass actor. I actually really liked him in what was the big robot movie, Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah, and we've talked in length about how he did get screwed over, and how there's so many. There's so many fan versions of the final trilogy that would have made him better. You know, he got screwed over for sure. So, but he was very vocal against Disney, and I don't know if he could ever unring that bell. But I'm glad he's coming back in this, and maybe this will reset his future, and we'll see him in more. But I'm excited to get a sequel to this, and I'm sure it's going to have more money. And I like the first one, so we'll see.
Yeah, spoiler alert: he isn't dead. I guess. Yeah. All right. Guess I know now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be a prequel, or it could be brought back. Who knows? I don't know. Keeping up with the lightning rounds.
Walk that back for me very much.
Nope.
Yep, he's still alive. We got it.
So
is this your first? Is this the first movie review that you wanted to talk about?
Yes.
Based off of our thumbnail, I'm actually pretty excited to hear what you wanted to say about this one.
So this one this one has gone through like developmental hell for a while. It was originally a Fox 2000 Pictures movie And it's crazy. This is based off of apparently a book that did very well. My wife's mom read it. She really liked it. When she heard they were making it into a movie, she got really stoked. Apparently, Fox 2000 Pictures bought the rights for this film 2 years before the book even hit shelves. So back in 2016, people were like, "This is going to be a hit. We want the screen rights to this novel before it even comes out." So it's been hyped up for a while. They got Joe Wright to direct it. They got Tracy Letts, who's a big screen or playwright, to write the screenplay. They filmed it, and then 20th Century Fox showed it to some test screenings back in 2019, and everybody straight up hated it. And it was not received well. So then the whole Disney merger happened. They sent it back for massive edits, and when they couldn't find a cut that they liked, they ended up selling the distribution rights to Netflix. And so it finally dropped on Netflix this weekend, and I was asked by Victims and Villains to watch it so I could review it. And I'm not going to lie, this movie is a straight up Rear Window ripoff that is so fucking boring and just all build up, no payoff. I just couldn't believe it. You have Anthony Mackie in this
film. Both
film.
Captain Americas in it. That's weird.
Yeah, you've got both Captain Americas. Who's the other Captain America in there?
Wyatt Russell, man.
Oh yeah,
Wyatt Russell in here. I'm looking
Anthony
at the cast list here.
Julianne Moore, Gary Oldman. I mean, holy shit! And Amy Adams, who I love. That's a stellar cast. How do you fuck that up? You fuck it up by apparently just filming a bad movie and then just chopping the shit out of it because the pace was all over the place. Everybody but Amy Adams had like seconds of screen time. Like you're like, there's no way they just came in to film just that. So I'm not asking for a director's cut, but clearly they had to have filmed more than what we were shown on camera. And then I included this picture of Rear Window because they straight up, like the most famous scene from Rear Window is him waking up in the middle of the night. He hears a scream, watching some shit across the street in a Manhattan apartment, seeing a large bloody knife. The exact same scene happens in The Woman in the Window. And even I'm like, who has not seen Rear Window in over a decade, even I was like, that's the exact same scene. It was just dumb. And the whole time I'm waiting for the big payoff. It's just build up. And when the quote unquote twist comes, you don't give a shit. And then when the reveal comes, you really don't give a shit. And then it's over. And then on top of that, they chose to film it like a stage play. So you can see the sets and everything, which was a weird choice. They just made a lot of weird choices, and I did not like the film at all.
I mean, it sounds like it was like a creative go at it. I mean, maybe this is just what happens when you put when you have a character whose camera is fucking Nikon. I mean, that might be that might have had something to do with it sucking a little bit. I mean, just looking at the cast list, you would think that this would be pretty stellar.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was not. It was
and it sounds like they've got like a really good creative concept here. But I'll get another fucking ripoff. Here we go.
It's bad, man.
Another movie where it's ripped off something else, and it was like the third thing that we've talked about just in the last 2 episodes that was like doing this shit.
Yeah. And apparently they left a lot out of the book. Maybe the book wasn't as much of a ripoff and it was just kind of like themed similar. But I swear to God, Rear Window,
fine.
The dude's in a Manhattan apartment, witnesses something what he thinks is a murder. She's in a Manhattan apartment, witnesses something what she thinks is a murder. They even have frames of Rear Window in this movie. In the beginning of the movie, they have like it's like almost like a GIF of like a scene from Rear Window is like on half the screen. Doesn't say why it's on there, but it's in the first opening minutes.
Was it like a tribute to the?
If it was, it was bashing you over the head with it. And don't pay homage to a better film if you can't give at least a good film in response. You know, like don't
I mean,
bash
there's
your.
a lot of places. There's a lot of movies that have fallen subject to fucking that up.
Well, they did it so
That
much. It was
one's
just like, you're basically telling your audience that there's a better film out there that they should be watching right now and not yours because it's so bad. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because, Amy Adams, to her credit, did some good stuff. And there were parts of the film that I found intriguing, but then the second half, the whole time I was waiting for the pin to drop, and when it did, it was just so lackluster and so like, oh, I could not give less of a shit, and then it was done. So I don't know.
There's certainly a pattern that tends to work, and I've talked about this before. I think like I was talking about this around the same time that we were watching WandaVision, and that there's a reason that the 1, 2, 3 acts structure is the way that it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it follows through with television shows too, but you generally want to have like a really good, like, you want to build up whatever you're going to put into your finale to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
and then have like a proper climax. And I mean, if you don't get to that point, it feels like a bad climax. It feels like a bad orgasm just ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody likes that.
Yeah.
I was just watching a show today I was just watching a YouTube video today where they were going, 'cause I'm not still heated about it, but it was about like how Game of Thrones should have ended. Like I wasn't.
There's so many of those.
Well, yeah, and I didn't like this guy's spin on it in several areas actually, but it still would have been better than what we got. But yeah, he went over the importance of how, like, you really want to build up to something. If you're really going to build up to something, or if you're going to like leave people in a pseudo level of suspense until you get to what you want to reveal, or like the finality of the story that you want to tell, you've got to build it up. You've got to earn it. And yeah, there's a lot of media right now that's just not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Well, it did not surprise me that Disney wanted to dump this. And this was the last movie that they had to release from that merger. So this was the last Fox movie that they had on their plate to release. And it was clear
Fox
that they
been
were
dropping
just
the
like,
ball lately, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
long
guess that was
time,
the sign of the
actually.
times. But
It must have been.
so I saw 2 other movies. Why does this keep on scrolling the wrong way? I saw 2 other movies. And these other 2 I saw in theaters. The first one was Spiral. And we saw we did a trailer reaction to this, didn't we? Way back. Maybe
Yes,
we did. Or at least we at least talked about it.
We did do a trailer reaction for this one, and somebody called me out for saying that Chris Rock seemed like he was overacting. And,
people have said that. I've seen a lot of reviews say that in the film.
After seeing the entire movie, I was saying it just off of seeing the trailer.
Yeah. This gave me
comment, actually.
This, and I'm going to say the same thing I said when we saw the trailer. This gave, he had his Bad Company vibes, and at times it worked, and at times it was over the top, but not over the top, It felt more like he just hasn't acted in this type of role very much. Like he's not a dramatic actor. So
he's not, like, he hasn't I mean, he's done a lot of voice acting, but
right. But I didn't think he ruined the film. I loved every time he was on screen. So I thought he was the best character of the film, nonetheless.
That was the thing with this comment here on our trailer reaction. It said Chris Rock acting didn't seem forced to me. Got it. It seems like I'm the only one to see him as an actor, not a comedian. But like, Jesus Christ, dude, I wasn't attacking the guy.
Well, he's both. But to be fair, he hasn't acted as much outside of the Adam Sandler films. But I liked him. I liked him in the movie. The movie was very straightforward. It was definitely a Saw sequel. It was better than half of the Saw sequels.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
Well, some people thought that it was going to be revealed that it wouldn't actually be a Saw sequel and it was going to be like a Saw reboot. And it wasn't. Okay. It was a sequel. But it was definitely better than most of the Saw sequels. I would rank this pretty high. I liked what they did. It wasn't the greatest of films, but I definitely had fun with it. And it, did a different spin. It was about, corrupt cops and Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock's role in it. And we got a young Samuel L. Jackson with a thick Tom Selleck mustache, which was worth it. But that was one of the funny things. You see them now, right? This is present day Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. To age them down, they don't have that Disney de-aging money. So all they did was put this big old fuzzy mustache on Samuel L. Jackson and this glue-on goatee for Chris Rock. It looked so bad. But it was in like fleeting seconds. Like it wasn't like huge parts of the film.
Facial hair used to be a sign of somebody being older.
I know. This was just like, throw some facial hair on it. That'll make him look young. Put Chris Rock in a hoodie. He'll look younger with a goatee.
Hide those smile lines as best we can.
So I did like it. I did like it than most of the Saw sequels.
Okay. That's pretty high praise.
Yeah. And I like the Saw franchise, and but it has gone downhill rapidly. But I actually liked this more than the previous kind of rebirth of Saw, which was Jigsaw a couple years ago. That was just like, okay, it was just, another thing. This was, at least there was purpose. And they didn't bring Jigsaw back to life or anything. It was a copycat, but it had an interesting purpose. And so I don't know if the way it ended, they might be trying to do like a new saga. We'll see. But if they did another one, I'd be interested to see it because I really like this one. So
I probably still won't watch it.
Yeah.
Still not a horror guy. I don't care. I haven't seen any of the Saw films except for Saw 1. And,
which is arguably the best one.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, if that's setting the bar and nothing goes above it, then I guess I'm not really going to be that disappointed. So, but no. I wasn't even paying, like, that was a long time ago. I was at the age where when I went over to a girl's house to watch movies, we weren't watching movies. So, I don't know how much of that movie I can remember either. So,
that's not really a date night movie either, but I guess
no, but
or throw it on in the background movie. But
yeah,
I mean, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
When you're a weirdo like me and you crush on other weirdos, there's weird movies being watched. So,
well, I have one more review for a movie I saw this weekend, and it is for Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. And
so you had to go and see this in theaters, correct?
Yes, I got to. Yeah, because it's coming out on Netflix. I think on Thursday or Friday. But it had a 1 week limited run across some theaters in the US. And we have like, if you count them up, we've got like 15 theaters in Omaha. And
yeah, you were pretty heated because you actually
I was
my messages just a little bit and found out that nowhere local was actually showing this thing.
Yeah, because I went and saw Spiral.
At first I was like, all right, he's out of line. Like something's going weird. Like, or no. At first I was like, okay, that's kind of bullshit. But when I looked into it, I was like, all right, he's out of line. This is a limited run. So,
but we have 15 plus theaters in Omaha alone.
Yeah, but how many of them are owned by the same people though?
But but none of them were playing them. I had to go down to Bellevue. There was one theater in Bellevue and one theater in Lincoln. No theaters in Omaha. How many towns have this many theaters in their proper town and none of them were playing this? I was like, really? And it was a Marcus theater. But it's not. But it was a Marcus theater.
Bellevue's still Omaha.
It was a Marcus theater in Bellevue, and I have like 3 Marcus theaters around me, and none of them were playing it. Anyway, it was either wait till Friday to see it on Netflix.
Like don't get me wrong, like a limited run. If those theaters were opening up and they were trying to like draw crowds, something like this would have been a great way to go.
Hell yeah!
So I do sympathize with your struggle, but
either way,
at the same time, I do understand why there weren't more that were showing it at the same time.
Well, it's their loss because there was a lot of people in the theater to see this movie. And I was kind of like happy because when I got to the theater, there was a line, like a long line for concessions, a line for beer. Good. And I was like, this is great. Like, it's clearly not full at all, you know, nowhere near full. But I went up to the bartender and I'm like, man, how's business? He's like, it's booming tonight. So that's kind of cool.
Dude, man, the CDC came straight out and said, hey, if you're vaccinated, you don't need to run around wearing a mask anymore. And I don't know, it's weird. Like, because I wanna not have to wear a mask, but at the same time, I don't want people to think that I'm an anti-masker.
Yeah, but now it's kind of getting flipped too. Now people are thinking if you do wear a mask, then you're an anti-vaxxer. So there's no win. There's no win. Yeah. But there
was a GIF online. It was like, hey, I wanna not wear the mask. I'm fully vaccinated, but I don't want to look like an anti-masker. But if I wear my mask, people are gonna think I'm an anti-vaxxer. It's like, oh no, they won't think that. Wait, I didn't post my vaccination card on Instagram. Yeah, neither did I. I didn't fucking do that. That seemed weird. But it's got my man's Dave Bautista in it, so I'm going to watch it. Like, this is a movie where I'll actually see it, and so we can talk spoilers. Probably, I mean, if it comes out Friday, like our next episode, we can talk spoilers on this.
If you see it, yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts. I loved this film. Is it a perfect film? No, but I'm writing a review for Victims and Villains and giving it a 4 out of 5. This film was a blast. And also, you could tell that when Netflix got Zack Snyder to film this film, they said, we want your cut, because it is a 2.5-hour film. And sure, there were things that could be cut, but having seen his past films and the director's cuts that came after that, it was just like, if Netflix was going to hire them, they want the director's cut. So
yeah, big time.
This film, I loved everything from the font to the music choices to the opening credits scene, which was amazing. It reminded me of how good the opening credits scene for his Dawn of the Dead remake was way back when. This is in no way connected to Dawn of the Dead, even though you would think it could be. Dave Bautista was a badass, of course. He continues to be a badass. I mean, he's going up the same way that The Rock went, you know. He
really is
becoming more and more dependable.
I like that he's gone more towards the comedic side, though, because The Rock does some of it, but not nearly enough. He's definitely much more of an action star. Dave is like, call him Dave, like we're in a first name basis here.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah. No, thanks, Davey.
Dave.
Yeah.
How's it going? No, I mean, it's cool to see Dave Bautista like on the. I mean, after Guardians of the Galaxy, it's hard for me and seeing how good he was in that, and then the spy movie that he did with the little girl. I haven't seen that one yet, but the trailers for it looked pretty fun.
He was in Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner. And there was another one that he was in, Stuber.
Stuber,
which I also have not seen yet, but I really want to, because I also really like Kumail Nanjiani.
He was in this indie movie as well. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a martial law town and like just war all around this city, and he was protecting this woman to go through it. That was an intense film. He's just great, man. I've liked everything I've seen him in. He's a pretty dependable actor, and he was great in this film. He carried the film for me. Awesome. It was good to have him in the leading role. Other great things.
I'm stoked to watch it on Friday now. This is awesome.
The zombies were great. I won't spoil it for you, but if you're wondering what kind of zombies are going to be in this film, you know, is it going to be like slow zombies? Is it going to be like Day of the Dead zombies? Is it going to be something else?
Didn't seem like they were going to be slow or Walking Dead zombies. It seemed like they were going to be like fucking actual threat zombies.
The answer is yes. It's just yes. There's all kinds of zombies in this film. And as a fan of the book I Am Legend, and as a sad admitter that we have not yet had a good I Am Legend adaptation, if this is the only thing we ever get, this is the closest thing to I Am Legend I've ever seen in a zombie film.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I love that book. That book did wonders for the zombie genre, and we've never really gotten an adaptation of that book. Will Smith's movie does not touch what that book did. In fact, it like ignored what that book did. So
was it? Do you still consider I Am Legend a good movie? Just like if it wasn't
the movie,
to the book?
I mean, I think it was entertaining, but I went there thinking this was going to be like the first time we get an adaptation of this book. And I mean, even Stephen King references that book as like one of the birthplaces of modern horror because it was so well done. And it introduced things in zombies that we have not seen. And we saw glimpses of that in this film. And I was like, okay, I really appreciated that. So I won't get into it since you're going to watch it. But, they also were like, you thought the Walking Dead tiger was cool. They're like, we're going to one up that a little bit. So they brought their own tiger.
That one looks fucking crazy.
It's a rated R film, and I loved it. One other thing about this, Tig Notaro. I don't know if you are a fan of Tig Notaro. I am.
I haven't seen her in a lot of stuff. Honestly, I didn't look her up until she did a stand-up special about her like cancer or after she got through cancer.
Mm-hmm. That was great.
There
was a documentary around that as well that I really liked.
And then I saw her in The Office toting out her butch child who punches Andy in the face.
Yeah,
just a small cameo thing, and it was just like, wow, I'm seeing. And then I saw her in like one other thing. I was like, Jesus, I'm seeing her all over the place now.
She is. I think she's in Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. I don't watch that show, but I think she's in that as well. Which is just like, all right, go get it. She's in a lot of weird things. Do you know the story about how she got into this film, though?
No, I do not.
So and you might remember it once I bring it up, but
was this around the time that Chris D'Elia was in there?
Yeah, Delia. Yeah, so they filmed this whole film with Chris D'Elia, or however you pronounce his stupid fucking name, and he got hit with an sexual misconduct accusation. His talent agent dropped him. This all happened last summer, after this film was done, and they were like, "Fuck, what do we do?" And they decided to recast him completely. But they couldn't do any reshoots. So they filmed Tig Notaro's stuff completely on a green screen stage. And I am telling you, Seth, it is seamless. It is so damn good. And I was expecting like, we're going to get group shots and then it's going to pan over to Tig on the side. No, she is in the group. She interacts with the group. She pushes people in the group. And they did not do reshoots with those people. And I mean, there's even times where there's reflections in the lens of her glasses. They went so far to make it look seamless.
God, I love it.
And I'm like, holy shit. Like I was just waiting for the one time that I'm like, yep, I can see it. Can't see it. I was very happy. I was so happy.
There's an old film crew saying that the best special effects are the ones that you can't see, or the ones that you can't like point out.
And they did this last year because you can see Zack with the mask on right there. So, this is. I can't wait to see what you think of it. This is his film.
Is he wearing a costume that he would wear in the movie? Like, is he in the movie, or is that just how he dresses? Just wearing. I think that's just how he dresses.
Yeah, and to his credit, he not only directed this film, he was the DP for this film. He wanted to use.
I love him getting involved like that.
And he did it because he wanted to use these certain lenses that had a very narrow depth of field, and he said he would feel bad if he asked any other DP to use them. So, and you'll see that a lot. It's part of the reason why I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, just because at times I found it a little irritating, but for the most part, I think it looks really great.
He shot it on red, or?
Well, he didn't. I mean,
let's get into camera stuff. Was shot on Canon rehoused vintage full frame lenses. Okay.
Yeah, he was talking about like a really small open aperture, and it counted for like a really narrow depth of field.
So
and
the production carried three 50mm f/0.95 primes and three Canon 35mm 1.5 primes. So yeah, that just to give a brief introduction to aperture, which is what that F is actually for. That's what the symbol is generally referenced as.
Okay.
The smaller the number, the wider the actual aperture is. And
Oh,
so
okay.
more light is able to get into the lens at that way. So it's like the little that little shutter symbol that you see around camera stuff all the time, where it's got like it's the actual shutter in it slowly closes around there. So the lower the number, the bigger that aperture, the wider that aperture is actually at. It's also the faster that lens is considered to be. And yeah, the wider that goes, the harsher the depth of the harsher the blur is for anything that's not in focus. And yeah, a lot of films, especially if there was like a big group ensemble, there would be like they would shoot in like a much more narrow aperture in order to kind of like lessen that, and so more stuff would be in focus. So yeah, it is kind of interesting that he would shoot a lot of scenes in that super fast aperture range.
And there's
I
a
like
lot
that he's shooting on
of
Canon though. That's pretty cool. He's shooting on Red, one of my dream cinema cameras, like a badass monster.
A lot of people like Red.
They're $1 bajillion. I'm serious. I mean, like you can buy the bodies of them are like over $20,000, and then you gotta like buy all the parts to modulate on top of. You can cross the $60,000-$70,000 range on the damn things easy. Which is why it's a dream, because it'll never come true for me. Then again, nobody's buying those things. They're renting all that stuff. So, oh man, that's cool. I got some film.
I'll be interested to see what you think of that. There's a lot of selective focus in it, and at first it was a little jarring just because I hadn't seen that before, but then I got into it. But yeah, I loved it. It was a great film, man. By the end of it, I'm like, hell fucking yeah, that was a good time. And I was really happy I saw it in theaters. Do you have to see it in theaters? Probably not, but it was a great film and it earned its R rating, and I really enjoyed it. So I would highly recommend it. Of the 3 films I saw this weekend, that's on top.
Well, I'm watching it on Friday now, and now I feel hopefully on Friday, because we're gonna try and go camping this weekend. So we'll.
Oh, nice.
It might be Sunday. It depends on if it rains. We got rainy fucking weather. I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
It's been wet lately.
Awesome. On to Merger Monday.
Merger Monday.
Here we go. We're in. You had to point this out to me, and I actually asked if this was another one that you wanted me to like go in blind on. So every now and then we get a story that you like really want to introduce to me.
Yeah. No.
But yeah,
I read this one.
It was a boring read, but it was an interesting read.
It's boring as hell.
News.
And of course, like the 2 main YouTubers I watch, well, all the YouTubers I watch were talking about it. Grace Randolph did it, or Rudolph or Randolph gave a breakdown, and so did John Campia. John's was a little more in depth, but yeah, this is interesting. Do you want to talk on it a little bit?
Well, so the thing that's interesting to me is that we're looking at another huge merger, but that seem to be mainly focused on the streaming side and the media creation sides of these companies, because as we know, AT&T. So basically, for those who are not familiar, AT&T announced on Monday, and I'm going to quote a news article here from NBC News, just for this headline here. AT&T announced on Monday that Warner Media and Discovery are merging to become a new company that will immediately become one of the largest U.S. media businesses. And that headline, as you explained to me when you told me to look this up, is actually kind of misleading.
It's pretty misleading, yeah.
So
because it sounds like
why don't you touch on that?
Yeah, so it sounds like AT&T are just taking these 2 things and combining them into a bigger thing, and they're not. They are selling Warner Media,
well, they kind of are, but
they kind of are,
not under AT&T's control.
It's not under AT&T, right? So AT&T bought Time Warner back 3 years ago for $85 billion, billion with a B. And they did that because it's their AT&T, their phone company. HBO Max was in the works, and they were like, we're going to build this streaming service to combat all the other streaming services. And we have phones. So of course, we're going to invest in the streaming business. They've made a lot of decisions since then to try to make it work. Like, they were the ones behind, we're going to put all these movies day and date releases on HBO Max instead of hold them off for 2022. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. We've talked about that in depth.
They pissed off pretty much every person whose movie was affected by that.
Pissed off
Absolutely everybody.
And then they had to do payouts to keep some of those from getting too pissed off, because it was a huge fallout. It was a huge fallout with the talent, which makes no sense if you're a studio. Why would you willingly piss off the talent, and talent not just being the people in front of the camera, but being the people behind the camera as well. Then they did the Zack Snyder cut. That was their call. And that was, for the most part, a win for them, but apparently not enough for them to keep it. So over the weekend, they pinned this deal with Discovery to sell Warner Media to Discovery for, what was it, 48 billion? 43 billion.
AT&T will receive 40. I'll jump on this part here. AT&T will receive $43 billion worth of cash, debt securities, and Warner Media's retention of debt, which basically means that Warner Media, as it breaks off, will take that debt with them. And as a result, let's see, I got to find this guy's full name here. Zaslav. I don't know what his full name is here. Discovery CEO David Zaslav will run the combined businesses, according to Monday's announcement. He says, "I think we fit together like a glove." Zaslav said Monday the new media company will start with $55 billion in debt, which is,
it is a
seem like
huge
the
risk
best
for them.
idea in the world.
No, but it's a huge risk for them. But at the same time, it's not his first go around with this. I believe they bought Lionsgate a while back, and they've done some stuff with that. But at least they are in some type of visual entertainment business. It's more reality TV. But AT&T was not a studio when they brought on Time Warner, so they were like trying to make it work. At least Discovery has some kind of experience. I don't know if it's the right experience, but
there was a lot that didn't go well, and AT&T did not take a long time in business terms in order to learn that. I mean,
no.
When you think about it in business terms, like from now to 2016 is a very short period of time,
right? And they bought it back then, taking on the debt of Time Warner, and they thought that they could turn it around. Now they're selling it for $43 billion, so that's obviously a loss. If they bought it for 85, so they're taking a huge cut, but apparently they just don't want it. They don't want it anymore.
They're taking an L. Honestly, so when you dig into like the business side of things, there was a lot of concern around the company, specifically around the debt that they were holding as a result of this deal. Yeah. And it's very clear that that's obviously what this is. Even though they tried to spin it as a merger, it is not a merger.
It's not a merger.
Because, you're still going to have a lot of the same shareholders in charge of a lot of stuff, but that's not necessary. But as the video clip that you pointed out, actually, you're going to have to credit the video too. Because
that was John Campia. Yeah, Campia. He did a really good breakdown of it.
He wanted to make a specific distinction. He explained it in super quick terms, is that having control by the same shareholders is not necessarily the same as the same company.
Right.
And Discovery Plus, I think, did a pretty good job out of like modern cable networks to kind of like shift things over into a streaming service that isn't part of like a premium cable subscription, right? Not like HBO or Stars, who are both doing. Stars, I think, has probably one of the better options, because Stars just seems to be trying to like piggyback on other streaming services by adding their service on as an addition to Amazon Prime and stuff like that. But yeah, here you go. This is a great thing to pull up here. It's actually a pretty even split down here too. HBO Max's networks kind of stop over there as far. Well, actually, it seems to kind of mix them all up.
The question is,
DC is in there hiding behind the N.A.P logo there, if you can't see that. So
yeah, it is. Oh yeah, it is.
It was not forgotten about.
It was not forgotten about. The question here is what will this be called? And is HBO Max going to go through another rendition of its name? Because they said that Discovery and Warner Brothers are going to form a new company. So will it even have Warner in the name? Will it be something totally different? Yeah. And then will they go back and change HBO Max, which I think everybody agreed when they first announced that was a terrible fucking name and it was confusing as all get out. It'll be interesting to see what this happens. It could be up to a year. I mean, they've penned the deal.
Yeah,
but now there's like a year to process it, and of course, like you mentioned, the government's going to get involved and everything.
Yes, that's a big part of it. Is that this has to go through what they call regulatory oversight. Which is basically just the government saying, "Hey, is this going to fuck things up too much?" Mm-hmm. Or, "Hey, how much are you guys going to pay us in order to let you get away with this oligopoly that you're essentially creating?" Because, I mean, that's essentially how, I'm not speaking from direct knowledge because I do work for a cable company. I do work for one. I do work for one of the big ones. Mm-hmm. But I'm on the technical side. I'm not on the business end of it, but it is we follow kind of the same patterns that a lot of companies do. It's not just cable companies. Another thing that we have to remember that AT&T also picked up was Dish Network, which also did not work out.
It was another failed venture for them. Yeah.
And they ditched that as well. So that is another thing that they dropped off, and now this is being dropped off, but it's being merged into yet another side of kind of the same patterns that we've been seeing. Hulu was the most obvious one when this stuff started coming out, to where more and more networks were going to start moving their services towards streaming services. Peacock is another one,
right?
Marvel, kind of another one in regards to Netflix. There's certain content that's going to become very restrictive, and it's going to go towards its individually owned networks. The Office and Netflix obviously being one of the biggest ones, but it wasn't just The Office that got kicked by that. Parks and Rec got kicked by that. There were a few other services that also got removed for the same reasons.
Right.
And so instead of and I've been saying this as a part of this show for a long time, that in the streaming world, this is where we're going to go. And this is probably the biggest step in that direction in recent years, because we're talking about established networks who are making these moves now. HBO was already, I'm not counting HBO. HBO is part of this for a long time. They had been doing online streaming for a few years now. Discovery Plus has been doing it for a while now too. But them carrying over all these major networks, I mean, just think about it. I mean, Discovery, Food Network, fuck HGTV, nobody cares. TLC tends to draw. TBS is another big one. Animal Planet. I mean, those are probably some really big core cable networks now. And then CNN being included on this as well. That one's also a really big one, because now we're jumping into the news. And then you're going to see this happening across the board with more and more of these networks. And eventually what you're going to have is, instead of buying the cable packages that people like me used to try and have to sell to people, where it's like, oh yeah, if you pay like $50 a month or something like that, you'll get all these extra channel packages. It's like, well, I already get all these things with the other service that I've got, or something like it's all generally going to be around the exact same price, which is also kind of a good thing, because streaming services do tend to stay a little bit down lower than where they're at. You're not looking at contracts to lock onto these things, but a lot of the content that you're going to want to see is going to become restricted by more and more paywalls to hide behind these streaming services, which is also going to inspire something that you have brought up in a lot of cases when we talk about this stuff, is online piracy is going to be a lot easier.
Sure. It's becoming more and more easier, but as it becomes more and more easier, I'm sure laws will change, and I'm sure it'll be, attacked more and more. We'll see how that goes. It's interesting. It's a big risk. I think it's a big risk, especially if they have to go back and rebrand HBO Max again. God, I can't. I don't even want to think about the nightmare of doing that. But and
No.
I'm looking at this. I'm reading this thing from the Financial Times, and they're saying that this deal, despite the debt, could be valued as much as 150 billion for Discovery.
Yeah, which is why they're talking about this new company becoming one of the biggest media companies out there.
It'd be a huge player. It'd be a
These
huge
are all
player.
very, very valuable networks that are under these banners here.
Yeah, and there was some confusion. You had talked about it a little bit about thinking that AT&T was still going to be a part of this because the breakdown of the ownership of this new company is that Discovery and its shareholders are going to own 29% of the new company, and shareholders of AT&T would receive stock representing 71% of the new company. So some people were reporting saying, oh, so AT&T is still going to own 71%. They're not. They don't own that. These are the stockholders.
Shareholders.
These are the shareholders, and AT&T has a responsibility to them, because if they do them wrong, then that could come back in lawsuits and everything. So those shareholders are going to receive stock that represents 71% of this new company. They don't work for AT&T. They are not AT&T. AT&T is selling this off. That's why they're getting that $43 billion from Discovery, and Discovery will head this up. So it is not, AT&T will effectively be out after this, so long as everything goes through. So it's a big risk. It's not a big risk. It's a big move for Discovery. And if it pays off, holy shit, it's going to propel them into the higher echelons of this new world of streaming and of content ownership and everything. I mean, just look at Disney Plus and their package. You get Disney Plus, Hulu, and like ESPN. Compare that with this. If you get the Discovery Media package or whatever they're going to call it, you get all of this shit. That's a lot. That's like this is like a normal cable package. What a normal cable package used to be.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Plus premiums. This is
exactly where we're going. I mean, this is a great deal when it comes to it.
Depends on what pricing. They charge you.
But that's kind of the thing. Deal. We've already got a huge influx of customers who are like you and me. We've got subscriptions to multiples of these services already.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at the subscriptions that I've already got active for just digital media, just for streaming stuff, I'm paying like a cable package price for it already.
Right.
And so they've essentially just moved into that same territory. And I mean, I'm already paying for HBO Max, so I can hope that, they're going to do a bundle deal of some kind.
Yeah.
You're already seeing something like that with Hulu and Disney Plus. You can actually pay for Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN, and all that stuff as a bundle deal, and it lowers the cost for it. But that's the exact same thing that was happening during premium cable packages.
Right.
And we've just come full circle into that around. Now, don't get me wrong, there are significant advantages to this versus what that was, because those premium cable packages were shitty. But that was before. I mean, they're still kind of shitty now, but that was before the availability of on demand and all of your content being available whenever the hell you wanted. That is an incredible value that those other cable packages didn't have. I mean, that was how they sold DVRs back in the day, because there just wasn't a better option than that. So there are definitely significant advantages, but there are significant disadvantages towards something like this, depending on the consumer. But the big thing to remember here is that AT&T is not necessarily making a lot of money here, because they're still going to be in a fuck ton of debt after this is over. But so I mean, if there's, and then as far as the communication issue of them, they have a lot of communication issues, but as far as the way that this was broadcasted and the way that this was talked about as it being a merger instead of a sale, I mean, that's just classic business bullshit. They're just trying to, I think they're really just trying to like soften the blow or the embarrassment that they have as far as letting this shit out there. And another thing to remember is that they've been talking about this for months. And so this is just the first that we're hearing of it in its entirety.
Yeah, there was some story about this was all like finalized in a golf course or something like that. But there's been a lot of things adding up to this, especially with Toby Emmerich trying to get that Netflix deal that didn't work out and everything. So it's interesting. But this isn't the only Monday merger news we have, because somebody else was like, hey, you're talking about mergers. Let's talk about us.
This one wasn't nearly as surprising.
It's not.
Like this
it's
one,
not.
This
it's
one
still
made
interesting though.
This one made perfect sense. Well, see,
Yeah.
I had to think about it, man, because like how often are you thinking about MGM? I mean, you used to see it on shit all the fucking time.
Yeah,
Like,
and then they went under.
Yeah,
and they canceled my favorite Stargate universe show, and I was super pissed. And then 007 was in, that was
the one that came to my mind.
In limbo.
I was like, I had to think about it. I was like, okay, what kind of franchises are we dipping into when we're talking about MGM? And so luckily enough, somebody listed them here. I don't know why they put the Magnificent Seven in here in the list of its 4,000 film titles plus. 4,000 plus film titles include the James Bond, Hobbit, Rocky/Creed, RoboCop, and Pink Panther franchises. I don't understand why the Pink Panther franchises were up in there as high as they were.
Same with RoboCop, but
it's just the way that this article is worded. Its 4,000 film titles include James Bond, Hobbit, Rocky, Creed, RoboCop, and Pink Panther franchises, as well as movies like The Silence of the Lambs. And then they dip down way below with Magnificent Seven, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. The MGM TV library includes approximately 17,000 episodes of programming, including Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe, Vikings, Fargo, The Handmaid's Tale,
Survivor.
Yeah, there's great stuff in there. Teen Wolf, that's got to be the other one. The Voice, I guess. Shark Tank. I would actually like to watch some Shark Tank episodes. I haven't seen any. I haven't seen an episode of that show that wasn't on YouTube.
They've got a lot under their name, and unfortunately, they just had a really shitty go over the past couple years.
Yeah, they've had a hard time. For the first 3 months of 2021, MGM Holdings reported revenue of $403.3 million, up 27% year over year, and net income of $29.3 million versus a net loss of $12.1 million the year prior. So, I mean, par for the course, I guess.
Wasn't there a story
that's putting out as much as they have been?
Wasn't there a story where like one of the streaming networks offered some like crazy number for 007 No Time to Die a couple months ago? It was something like I think it was Netflix. They offered like something like 100 million.
There's another story about one of the articles when I searched it was who's trying to buy MGM.
Well, I know they were looking. So Netflix wanted to buy the Bond film and said, "Hey, you're not going to release it for a long ass time. Just let us release it. We'll buy the rights from you." And I guess they came way under because the studio was like, "Yeah, we'll sell it for you for $600 million." So and Netflix was like, "Yeah, no." But compared to
$600 million doesn't seem like a lot for the entire James Bond library when you think about it.
It wasn't. It was for the one film. It was for the one film.
For the one film? Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, they might be undervaluing that a little bit.
No. We were talking about the one film. They were like, no, you're not going to have our film. But in comparison to what we just talked about with AT&T selling Warner Media for $43 billion, MGM is looking to sell. They're seeking $10 billion. So that's still billion with a B, but it's considerably less. And I guess they've been passing this around. They've been in talks with Apple, but I guess the rumors are that Amazon is the front runner. So, which is, I think, is kind of a matter of time when you got companies like Amazon and Netflix, trying to rival with these studios.
Bezos will get you eventually.
They might as well just start buying studios and become an actual studio at this point,
I mean, I mean, Amazon's already kind of in that world, you know. I mean, some of our favorite content for this last year is coming out of them. I mean, Invincible, The Boys,
Yep.
like, I mean, obviously, it's probably not Amazon directly who's making those. It can be like another Netflix thing where they're paying these other independent artists to do this stuff. But
Some of them,
to a certain degree, yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having a hand on these, having a hand in MGM for Amazon is going to be a big thing. And I'm just looking at, I mean, just having the Bond catalog available on Amazon Prime, that's going to be huge.
I mean, this is huge.
That's a pretty big win for them. I'm like, that's not even talking like the Bond franchise alone.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's nuts. Cause you
got
to look at the other ones. Die Another Day is the worldwide box office leader for MGM movies. Die Another Day.
Die Another Day.
God damn. You would have thought Goldeneye could have done better.
You were mentioning Pink Panther. Apparently, there's a Pink Panther reboot in the works with Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, fuck off.
That's why. That's why. So, oh no. Hold up, I read that wrong. They also optioned the Ta-Nehisi Coates novel, The Water Dancer, with Oprah Winfrey. Okay, never mind. She's working on the Oprah Winfrey. She's working on the Water Dancer movie, and are working on a Pink Panther reboot and another Creed sequel. So they got a lot of stuff in the works. There's a Ron Howard movie, 13 Lives, coming. Paul T. Anderson's next film is coming.
The Creed stuff is great.
Yeah, Lady Gaga is coming out with a Ridley Scott movie on Gucci. And that's under MGM. Gosh darn it. I'm sorry. I keep on doing that.
You're noticing it now, aren't you?
Yeah. So they still got things in the works, but I guess somebody was like, hey, if they're buying Time Warner, maybe they'll buy us too. So who knows? If anybody can do it, it's Amazon. That's for certain. They got the money.
Yeah. I mean, probably an inevitability because like we said, MGM doesn't exactly have quite the spotlight on it that that Discovery and HBO and
it may have
Discovery and AT&T and Warner Media. Are gonna have. There's way too many companies above all that. Like as it goes, it's just level after fucking level after level. It's ridiculous.
Right. But MGM may have the library, but they don't have that big like family that these other places are, which would bring more government scrutiny and everything. So
yeah, and also a little bit more. I mean, Amazon's. I'd make the argument that Amazon's more of a household name right now than Discovery Plus is. Like of
course, it's Amazon,
especially with HBO. And so that, if anything, that might be. I mean, Amazon doesn't exactly have a great track record in the news cycle right now with everything that they've got going on. But that's not necessarily as far as their streaming side stuff is concerned. That's more about their warehousing and employment.
Yeah. Show me any company their size that has a great news track record.
But that might be enough to where, like, there might be a little bit of a little bit higher scrutiny than I think. I think this one's going to go through, though. I think it's still up in the air about Warner Media and Discovery. That one, I could see a crazy curveball getting thrown at that one to kind of blow the whole thing up, and then Amazon comes in and buys them both, or some shit. I don't know. That'd be kind of funny to me, actually. But, it'd be terrible if Amazon picked up both of those. That'd be ridiculous. But it's I find it far more interesting the amount of shit that HBO has been going through. Because none of it was really happening to the degree that it has been. Like there hasn't been as many changing of hands around HBO as far as their involvement has gone since until Game of Thrones went off the air, or was starting to suck. When Game of Thrones started to suck, it was like their bargaining chips were all off of the table, and they were just like, we can't. All right, we don't have as much negotiating power anymore because everybody's pissed off at us.
Yeah, and they were building so much. I mean, and they're still teasing the spinoffs from that, but they were just like they were riding the high, and then all of a sudden it just the floor fell out from underneath them.
And now they're just riding shotgun with every deal that AT&T puts them through.
Right. Right.
And it's happening again now. So
it's happening again. I hope this does.
Geez.
I mean, this could spell great things, because like you said, the one dude, the CEO of Discovery is going to take this over. So the CEO of Warner Media is out. And a lot of people blamed him specifically for these day and date releases and all of the shit that HBO Max has been going through lately. So
and some of the Snyderverse bullshit too.
They blamed him for that too. But then you had people worried about like Dune, which at one point HBO was planning to build another Game of Thrones-esque level universe around this Dune movie. And then that all of a sudden got put in jeopardy. So maybe this merger or this sale will get that back on track. Who knows? But as far as Amazon and MGM, Amazon and Apple, when they started getting into the streaming business, it was just like they can because they have fuck you money, like they're not gonna lose anything. But of the two, Amazon has been making bigger leaps lately. They've been getting more recognition. Like Apple TV, for all of their wins, like Defending Jacob was really good. Ted Lasso was really good. Nobody is talking about them. Nobody is talking about them as much as Amazon. And in fact, I read some study that there was such a huge level of Apple subscribers that have access to Apple TV. They just don't use it. Like they don't even turn it on. They don't even go through the process to set it up, even though it comes to them. And the same way was for Amazon when that first started. A lot of people were like, yeah, I just do Amazon for the 2-day shipping. I don't care about their streaming platform. But to their credit, Amazon has built that up. They're getting into the awards ceremonies now. They're buying movies just like Netflix is. And if they bought MGM, man, that is big baller moves. That's them buying a legit studio and saying, not only are we going to take your library, but it's propelling them into a studio-esque role instead of just, we got money to spare. So this could be pretty big.
And it just, but again, another thing to remember is that it just jumps them into having more of the resources in order to do that stuff. I would hope that the control that Amazon puts down doesn't necessarily change much. They just give like the push behind it. Cause like, I mean, when you think about it, MGM isn't exactly putting out bad content. I mean, they've got 007, which personally I feel like has been going on for just a little too long. I think they should probably jump to a different direction at this point.
They ain't never killing that off, buddy.
They're never killing it off.
No.
And I'll still go and see the ones that they come out with because
I've been waiting for this one for a while.
The Daniel Craig ones have been fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And especially with the rumor going around that there was two rumors. There was one that Idris Elba was going to take the role next, and another one that they were going to have a female Bond, and whose name I can't remember. But those are both cool ideas.
They're going to milk that shit till it's dead.
Yeah. I mean,
and then they're going to reboot it. So
right, but that's also kind of like a new direction, like that's sort of the way to go,
Right.
Like let's try something different instead of a white alcoholic womanizer. Let's jump into a different realm here with this character and see what we can do. That would be neat. But it would also be nice if I can think of a lot of MGM properties that could get a little bit more like I can absolutely see Stargate getting proper big budget money attention. It's been a long time since Stargate got that. I mean,
for sure.
Stargate
that would definitely be look what Amazon's done with The Expanse. They bought The Expanse after Sci-Fi dropped it, and people have arguably believed that this latest season, which was full Amazon, was among its best. I mean, they put money into that franchise. So imagine them putting that kind of money into Stargate. I mean, it would be crazy. It would be crazy.
Just with the stuff that we have seen. That Amazon has been putting out that that we just got done talking about. Invincible was incredible.
Right. The Boys, incredible.
Yeah, and The Boys, they're going to be doing some more with that, and having a full-on studio to increase the production budgets around any of those properties is going to be a big thing. Fargo is another one included in the MGM universe, I guess, if we can call it. I know Fargo's recent series of television was also almost a cult hit, I guess.
Oh, it was. Yeah. And Chris Rock was in that as well.
Okay. I don't know if I want
Yeah.
to say that it blew up quite as much because it wasn't necessarily like a
first season
pop culture hit, but
yeah, first season it kind of died down, but it was big when it first dropped. Yeah.
Vikings was another show that people have been telling me that I need to watch. But The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, that one. I thought that one was Hulu esque, but yeah, finding out that one was part of MGM was pretty big. Like those.
It is on Hulu. It is on Hulu.
It is on Hulu, but I thought
MGM owns it.
I thought that it was a Hulu like original. I didn't know that MGM had anything to do with it.
Yeah. They must be flipping the bill or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. I don't know who's in charge of who or what's.
It's weird how those things pan out, but yeah.
There's a lot of big franchises there that Amazon will now continue. Like Amazon's just increasing their foothold.
And owning that library and being like, this is the only place you can come to stream the Rocky movies. This is the only place you could come to stream the Bond movies. That's just going to bring in more money for them to fund their studio projects. So, 10 billion is a big number, but it's certainly not no 43 billion. And I'm sure it has some debt, but it doesn't have the debt that Time Warner has right now, or Warner Media or whatever the hell it's called. I don't know how much debt it has. That hasn't been widely reported yet, but I'm sure it has some debt because otherwise, why would they be selling? They've been hurting for a long time. They had MGM's financial statements reported 1.49 billion in revenue last year, up from 1.18 in 2016. So they're increasing their revenue. That's not a lot, but they're increasing their revenue. So they're doing something right, but maybe they just think it's time to throw in the hat,
According to the Amazon.com's most recent balance sheet, as reported on October 30th, 2020, the total debt is at $33.8 billion, with $32.93 billion in long-term debt and $155 million in current debt. Adjusting for $29.93 billion in cash equivalents, the company has a net debt of $3.15 billion, which is
Amazon or MGM?
Amazon.
Okay.
And so they're actually in a pretty stable financial situation. Just from a debt perspective. I mean, when you think about Amazon in general, obviously you know that it's fucking ridiculous how rich that is. And then again, that's just Amazon.com. So I don't know if that is like a separate entity from their streaming side or from any of the other various different things that Amazon has dipped its toes into. MGM.
Netflix, in comparison, has over 10 million of rolling debt. So they, that doesn't mean they're not successful. That just means they're rolling with it. Yeah.
So based on MGM Resorts, I don't want MGM Resorts. MGM Resorts has a good amount of debt. They've got in the billions. Does MGM Media? Maybe that would be. MGM is one of the last remaining independent studios after waves of consolidation moved through Hollywood over the past 2 decades. And it's hoping to collect about $5 billion for its assets, or about 3.2 times its 2019 revenue. Meanwhile, the company has increased its total debt position to $2.41 billion, which is not a lot. That's
not bad.
Little. That's a very
not bad
amount to try and jump into.
So they're asking for 10. So they're asking for 10, and if Amazon bought it, that they would get 2 point something billion. But if anybody's going to cover that debt, it's Amazon.
Yeah. Bezos should just throw a little bit of pocket change in there.
Right. He's like, he gave more to his wife in that divorce.
Dude, do you think that Bezos was just like irritated that, like, so I had a moment. I was sitting at my desk. I was doing some editing, and I have Shawshank Redemption on Blu-ray upstairs right now.
Okay.
It's available. I could have grabbed it. I could have watched it. I have a Blu-ray app and a Blu-ray disc drive in my PC. Like, I built it into the computer.
Okay.
I didn't want to get up. I couldn't, like, I was in the thick of editing. I was on a fucking roll, and I was really, really on it. And this is how lazy I am. I'm not financially stable enough to just do this shit regularly. Like, so I don't want
Oh
this
no!
to sound
Did
like
you
it's
rent
a white.
it? Did you rent it from
No, I
Amazon?
fucking bought it.
Oh my god!
I bought it
Come
on
on, bro.
Amazon because I didn't want to
Oh
fucking run
wow!
up there and go through that whole process. It's like,
And
yes,
that's why he's rich.
yes, this is a first world problem, 100%. 100% a first world problem, but I'm too broke to be just making irresponsible decisions like that. I know it doesn't sound like life. It's a bad idea. Do you think that Bezos was in a similar situation where he was just like, I can't find anywhere to fucking stream any of these services and I'm sick of it. I just want to watch a James Bond movie. I'm buying MGM. Fuck this shit.
I doubt that man has time to watch a movie. But yeah, I'm sure it was either that or I need to launder my money through something else.
I can imagine though. Like, yeah, he doesn't have that much time to just sit down and watch a movie. So the one time he did, and he just wanted to fucking watch Goldeneye,
and that just broke his back. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
He was just like, oh my God, I can't watch it anywhere. I can rent it on my own website. Fuck that shit.
Just gonna buy it all. Yeah,
that'd be so weird if you were Jeff Bezos and he like logged into his Amazon Prime Video account and it was like, no, dude, you got to rent or buy this. Be like, I own you.
I own you.
It's like just about as irritating as seeing an administrator privilege show up on Windows or something like that when you're installing something.
Right.
You're like, who else would you be referred? Who else?
Yeah, that happened on my computer yesterday. It's like you don't have permission, only the administrator. It's like I this is my computer.
Well, I built your PC. I'm your administrator.
Yeah, well, unless you put it in something like that. But yeah, so going back to this,
that'd be funny if I did that.
Unlike, I would be pissed. Unlike the Disney thing or the Time Warner thing, this is still in rumor stage. Nothing has been confirmed.
Yes. Yeah, no.
MGM hasn't confirmed this. Amazon hasn't confirmed this. But people are reporting on it like it's a thing, and maybe they're just writing the coattails of the Time Warner story. Either way, it's interesting to say the least. So, we'll see what happens.
To cap it off, it said, for Amazon, media is a relatively small piece of its gargantuan empire, but represents a fast-growing business segment. In 2020, the company spent $11 billion on TV shows, movies, and music for Prime services, and that's 40% up from the year prior. So, I mean, they're going to throw that money around and they're going to be fine with it.
Like empire isn't a play on words for them. It's like a legit definition of what Amazon is. That's crazy. It's so crazy.
Well, Nerf Raiders, I think that's going to cap this one off unless Josh, you got something else you want to talk about.
Nope, that's all I had, bud.
I enjoyed shitting on these big businesses just a little bit. That was cathartic in a way.
Yep.
Like, what are you gonna do? I'm paying for your services. You aren't gonna cancel that shit.
But hey, man,
we're fine.
Going back to my reviews, when we talked about this last week, I felt so good going back to the theater. I went to see two brand new movies in theaters this weekend.
I'm really happy for you, man.
And there was the third one that dropped too. There was an Angelina Jolie movie written by Taylor Sheridan that came out as well that I didn't get a chance to see. That I could go watch on HBO Max. It was a day and date simultaneous. I heard that wasn't as good, but it just goes to show.
It's familiar. What
he did the Sicario movies. He did that Jeremy Renner Wind movie about the Indian reservation. He's written Yellowstone. He's a pretty big name right now in terms of writing. But the Sicario movies are his big ones. Taylor Sheridan.
Wasn't there something else that you were like really stoked
Wind
about?
River, Hell or High Water, Sicario, Yellowstone. Those are his big ones.
It must be Yellowstone because that was what you were.
Yeah, he came up on Sons of Anarchy.
That was another show that you were angry at me for not seeing.
Yeah, but this is now his second dud because he also helped write Without Remorse. Granted, that wasn't based on his own story. He was adapting something. But I've heard that Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is this Angelina Jolie movie, isn't that great. And sadly, the worst part about it is the script. So I don't know what happened, but he used to be like, oh shit, Taylor Sheridan's writing this.
It's got John Bernthal in it too. That's
sad. It's got Littlefinger in it. It's got Nicholas Hoult in it.
Review.
Yeah, I
from
still want to see it.
Taylor Sheridan's Those Who Wish Me Dead suffers from genre clashing. Uh-oh.
I still want to see it. but it was encouraging to see movies come back to theaters this weekend, and come holiday weekend at the end of this month, 2 more coming out. So dude, I'm stoked, man.
I'm really excited for the first movie that I actually finally go to see in theaters. I haven't decided at all on what it's going to end up being, but
I can't be the only one that sees these, buddy. You got to get out there.
Oh no, I know. I'm definitely going to watch Army of the Dead. I will give you that.
Okay. All right.
Like if I do not end up if I have an easy night of packing it back in after the camping on Sunday, I will try as hard as I can to catch Army of the Dead before our episode on Monday so we can talk about it.
Cool. I won't hold you to it because I know that'll be busy, but that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's specifically I'm hoping it is not busy because it's kind of the whole point. I'm unplugging a little bit, but if I'm going to come back in, like sitting down for a good movie sounds like a good way to unwind at the end of that night. So I will.
You can download it on your phone from Netflix, and then just when you can't sleep out in the forest, just pop it up on your phone. Just like, bam.
I would hope that I hope that I'm in an area where I don't have service that good.
But if you download it, you don't need service. It's on your phone.
That's fine. But the whole point is for me to not pick up the phone.
I know.
The whole point is to not. I'm unplugging for like 3 days.
Okay.
Trying to stay away for as much as I can, but I'm excited for the first movie that I go back to see in theaters. So I'm really happy that you got to do that, and you got like a normalcy feeling going back into the cinema. That's gonna be a big thing. Like we've got a local theater here over in Dundee that was talking about opening themselves back up and then showing Nomadland, and I was like, all right, why don't I check that out in like a small theater and see an Oscar pick, or like something that cleaned up at the Oscars this year and give that a go.
It did clean up.
I don't know. I'm still shopping around for what might be like the first out of. Oh, okay. 7 out of 10 ain't bad. I can still live with that.
I went. This is the guy I went to see it with last night. Me and Jared went to see it. So yeah. I think he gave it a little lower than me. He's a little harsher critic sometimes, although sometimes I'm a harsher critic. I think we balance each other out. I would give this a 4 out of 5, which would be an 8 out of 10. So yeah.
Okay.
But
right. Well, I'm gonna give it a go. I mean, I'm watching it on Netflix, so I really can't feel bad if it ends up not being that great. So
okay.
Well, but until next time, Nerf Herders, hit the like button if you liked this video. Hit the dislike button if you didn't. Be honest, we can take it. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes as we come out. We try to broadcast on a weekly basis, and it's normally on Mondays. I don't want to commit to that. We're kind of ADHD when it comes to our scheduling sometimes. But don't forget to subscribe. Be a part of the conversation. Hit us up in those comments down below. Follow us on social media. You can comment on that too. And until next time, have a good night.